Midlife stress. It's a killer for some of us. It may ebb and flow, it may settle in for a spell, but it's definitely a part of life for all of us. How we handle it, of course, depends on our awareness of the sources, our willingness to do something about the sources, and our ability to create self care strategies to balance those sources that we wouldn't wish away or that we can't. My guest today wants you to know that you can turn midlife stress into strength and go from victim to victorious. In this interview episode, I recruit my guest to support some challenges that you too might have. Drinking too much coffee or running when it's really not helping your cause. Anyone know that wine is a habit that may be interrupting your sleep or your weight loss goals and your energy, but have a hard time giving it up? Yeah, I asked about that. If these don't quite resonate, don't go away. You'll find something in this episode, no matter what it might be, you want to change. The challenge we may not be able to solve for you, knowing which habit may contribute to an undesirable outcome, paired with refusal to give it up when you find out. That, girlfriend, is a tough one. Are you ready to say goodbye to midlife stress? Or at least to calm her down? If you are ready to change, I promise you that this episode is actually going to set you up with some great skills and ideas, maybe challenging questions, so that you can do it. Did you know that right now is a great time to change? At the time of this release, there are less than 90 days remaining in this year. We all feel a sense of urgency when things are coming to a close. So this might be what puts your wheels in motion. I'm Deborah Atkinson. You're listening to Flipping 50, where I address your top struggles and concerns. Most of all, we hope to inspire you here so that you change what your expectation is about age. I mean, what do you think of yourself when you think of you at 65, you at 75, you at 85? It's up to you. I share what to eat, how to move, and how to change your mindset, sometimes about the former too, so that you can have the energy and vitality that you want, need, and deserve in this second and better half. In this episode today, my guest is transformation guide and founder of New Life Directions. She invents lives and creates fresh starts driven by purposeful vision. As an international speaker and author of the Fresh Start Promise and Victim to Victorious, Edwige Gilbert turns stress into success by clearing unwanted habits and behaviors, creating self-confidence and exuberant enjoyment of life, or as she calls it in French, and I'm not going to get this, joie de vivre. I am sure I slaughtered that, but that was a good effort. She has been featured on Lifetime TV, The Balancing Act, on national radio, and in such magazines as New York Magazine, Personal Excellence, Women's World, American Health, Allure, and Women's Fitness. Edwige holds certifications in neuro-linguistic programming, hypnotherapy, substance abuse counseling, behavior change, yoga, and Qigong. Among her clients include MTV, Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, the Corcoran Group, Expedia, Pritikin Weight Loss Center, Unit 4, and the Alzheimer's Association. Let's get right to this episode. Edwige, thank you so much for joining me here.
Thank you for having me on your show, Deborah.
And everybody listening knows that I'm a sucker for an accent, so you're already in the inner circle.
That's good.
I really want to ask you, and we like to get the backstory for everybody, so we can imagine that maybe we're in the green room and we're letting listeners in on our conversation. How did you get here? Why this particular topic? Why now? And was midlife stress an issue for you? How did it get on your radar?
Oh, there were so many stresses. My life has been a big stress. When I came to America in my 20s from France, the stress started there, not being able to have self-control. But what you're telling me in my 50s, yes, in my 50s, I was very happy. I thought, okay, I'm entering a new phase of my life. And 6 months later, I had the menopause attacking me seriously with all the symptoms you can possibly imagine. And I thought I was pretty healthy. I was aerobic instructor too. I was doing a lot of exercise, and yet it happened. So that woke me up to taking care of myself in a different way than just maybe exercising. Right? It became a mindset plus taking care of hormones, which I am using the non-invasive one, the bioidentical hormones, started my journey to restore my sanity. And I'm not suggesting it to be for everyone, but people who are losing their mind and getting depressed and getting all kind of symptoms and migraines, and just consider it. And that's my step one.
Fantastic. Yeah. So I
Yes,
will
go ahead.
say this for all of our listeners. An aerobics instructor doing a lot of exercise is actually probably one of the reasons you had such a rough time, right? So I want all the listeners to
Mm.
hear, as with true to the message at Flipping 50, less exercise, more movement is actually better. And it is actually generally trainers, fitness instructors, and those who are more competitive or love exercise who have the most problem.
Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah, a little too late, right?
I
But,
never understood, but I understand now not to
mhm,
do crazy things either.
mhm.
Yeah.
Right, right. And I think sometimes what we've been doing for years as fitness instructors, or just simply regular and motivated individuals who are doing exercise, we'll soon find out we were getting away with it. Not that it worked really well. We were getting away with
Oh,
it. But when your
yes.
hormones change, estrogen
Mhm.
dips, cortisol rises, and that susceptibility to stress that you're causing from the exercise
Yeah.
can be part of the issue. Yeah,
Mm.
great.
Well,
Okay. So
okay.
I want to come back to your bio because
Mhm.
listen, lady, that is pretty impressive. You say, among
Mhm.
your clients are Citibank and MTV, Expedia, as well as Pritikin Weight Loss Center. So, Pritikin, I can easily relate to and understand the relationship. But how is it that you help companies like Citibank or MTV? And without, of course, violating confidentiality, nothing specific, but tell us what you do for them.
Well, it's stress management programs because everything is stress related, isn't
Mm-hmm.
it? Our mindset determines the quality of our life. Creating a vision of what you want to have happen can really help getting goals met. So company, yes, and I had Cochrane Group too. They were anxious. Anxiety is the foundation for most of us, right? We have anxiety about aging, anxiety about a new project, anxiety about meeting new people. Anxiety is all the time. We wake up with anxiety. I'm in Florida, and we had a hurricane that went through, and we had anxiety about that. So the foundation for anything we want is to be able to manage our stress. And part of our stress is regulate our emotions. So emotion was very important for me because I didn't know how to regulate them. So I had to work on myself first. And
That's
yeah,
fantastic.
I had an issue with my weight, and being in the field of exercise sounds like a contradiction. but the more I was working out, the more I was craving the wrong food and eating bagels and all these carbs. And anyway, it became a disaster. So I had to find a way out. And I went on a mission to find that balance, because I was an excessive human being and doing everything was extreme. So balance is really key to everything, to health, to aging, to having joie de vivre, as I like to call it in my French.
Say
Joy
that
of life.
again. Okay.
Joie de vivre is joy of life. And joy
Mm,
of life is not about going and shopping and getting new clothes. It's really finding it within yourself, that ease of being with you.
mm,
And I believe that as we age, it becomes harder to live happily with ourselves as we contemplate the mirror too often.
mm.
And that can create a little stormy weather for us.
That's
Yes.
a great, I think, observation. Although, do you know that studies actually show women in their 50s and their 60s and beyond are the happiest that they've been in their lives?
Well, I can attest to that because I'm in my 60s and I'm
Mm-hmm.
finding my peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I also believe because I have taken care of myself through exercise, I constantly, I'm never giving it up, adjusting it, like you say, to the different ages is very important. But because I was healthy and fit, and I think the aging slows down for those who have been. It doesn't show as much, I believe. I
Mm-hmm.
can talk for myself. Nobody believes my age. So, and I'm 68. People think I'm in my 50s, and my shape, I don't have a stomach. I'm tall. I'm standing proper posture, right? Alignment. All of this really are key to aging gracefully and victoriously.
Yes, yes. And something that you said earlier, I really want to pick up on this. I mean, you said getting a vision of what you want is a big, basically, I'll finish the sentence for you, is a big part of getting it.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of nonchalantly zipped right through that. But for all of our listeners, and I'll have you weigh in on this too, Edwige, in the clients that I've worked with since 1995, coaching one-on-one in
Mm-hmm.
small groups,
Yes.
that is one of the hardest things that they do. Like, answer the question, what do you want? Because
Mm-hmm.
I would say that starting with knowing that what you have, you don't want, that is not enough.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
people focus on what they don't want instead of what they want. So,
Mhm.
so the awareness has to be the starting point. Where am I and where I want to be? What am I willing to
Mhm.
do to get to the other side or
Boy,
not
that's the
willing?
golden goose question, isn't it?
Mhm.
Can I just not, wiggle my nose or wave my wand? Right?
Yes, 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 exactly. And I tell people it is discipline. Like
Mm,
exercise, we need to discipline our mind.
mhm,
And I found my answer to that was the beginning of the journey was meditation, mindfulness.
mm,
And because the mindfulness is really encouraging you to be in the present instead of living in the future or in the past, which is where the trouble begins. If you are in the present at any moment, okay, you're here now, and connecting to your sensory, all the how you sitting, the connection, or even exercising is very important to be mindful of movements, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But if people are just in their head too much, it can be detrimental to staying youthful. It really can age the body quicker by taxing it with too much stress on it. That's what I realize as we age. The importance is keeping your mind healthy, not falling in a trap. I'm getting old, because getting old is optional. Aging is mandatory. We cannot stop that. But feeling old, that's your belief. And I think we need to change that belief. Is
Mm.
there, because to think that thought is not going to work well to get the results you want. Do you
Yeah,
agree?
such a great point, right? Thinking one way, believing one way, but doing the actions another way, you're creating this bipolar instance in yourself, and your body and your brain are working together, not in
Yes,
isolation.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
huge point. Your books, I want to come back to that, just kind of digging and unpacking your bio. Which of your books came first?
Oh, the first Stop Promise.
Mm.
That was the first one. And it was a longer one. I really put everything in it that I enthusiastically believe it would help. But sometimes more is not better for people. So this one, it's only not even a 6 months old baby, is really a workbook. I would say it's a condensed version of the other. I extracted and changed a lot of things, but took out what really mattered. My process, the techniques, the strategy, and it's very easily doable. Okay, no frills to it. It gets you to the point, and you can follow the structure very well. Voila.
Very nice. Yes. Which is what every woman listening wants. Like, stop the confusion, give me clarity in what to do and or what not to do, what to stop doing. I love that. All
Mm.
right. This is, if we were just now having the appetizer, listeners,
Uh-huh.
this is the juicy main part. All right.
Okay.
So
Yes.
let's talk about clearing unwanted habits, because we talked
Yes.
about that in your
Yes.
introduction.
Yes.
Because I want to say that there are really two things here.
Mm-hmm.
First, for our listeners to identify the habits causing an
Yes.
unwanted outcome. For
Mm-hmm.
instance, I mean, we opened with you were an aerobics instructor doing a lot of exercise and didn't realize maybe at the time that was contributing, right? So there are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of women here who might think I'm eating healthy, but some of
Uh,
those foods may not currently agree with them. They don't
mm-hmm.
know it. So they first have to identify it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to identify the undesirable outcome. I think we can get that one pretty easily, but it's a lot harder to identify the habit, but hardest to break or replace
Yes.
the habit,
Mm-hmm.
even if you know over and over clear evidence that you're not getting the results you want doing the current habits. At what point in someone's journey do you begin working with them? What's their awareness?
Well, when you keep doing the same thing and getting no results.
Mhm. Insanity, right?
Insanity, yes. It's when my journey began that I was addicted to bagels and brownie when I came to this country in my 20s. And it became my coping mechanism to deal with stress. It numbed me. because it filled out this anxiety and stress energy that I was experiencing. So it's identifying. I really was getting sick with it physically. And I had hypoglycemia, I had problem with my stomach, and I mean, it became really. So to me, that was the point where I think I need to address this, right? I call it hit bottom, maybe not, but when you see that you are destroying maybe the quality of your life, and then it's something to consider and know that there is hope for you. You're not stuck in it. You need help, but it's definitely available to you. And I think most women don't know that. They don't know how to replace one habit with another, because you cannot leave a void for anyone. A void is scary, right? Taking away, and what do I do next? So we need to have the mechanism in place of the replacement strategy.
So good. Like a smoker, right? You take away the
Yes,
cigarettes, you got to
yes,
give them knitting needles or carrots or something, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
How do your clients find you?
On my website, usually
Okay.
through podcast, through through being out there as much as I possibly can, and and sharing a lot of information for people, and that's how they can find me. But my website is newlifedirections.com. So offering new life and direction, the one you want.
Very
What?
clear. Yes, I love that. And by the way, listeners, if you're walking, you just keep on walking or lifting, and we've got you covered. The links will be in the show notes. In fact, all her links, literally, that's almost what it is, where you find it. But I will share that with you. I would love to tap into your coaching skills. Are you
Mm-hmm.
game?
Yes.
Okay. So let's take a fairly benign example. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
we have a listener right now drinking coffee,
Uh-huh.
so much coffee, like even though she knows it's harming her gut, contributing to weight gain and inability to lose weight because she's learned that, hopefully at flipping 50, but she doesn't want to give it up, or she may want to give it up, but at 10 o'clock she's still reaching for cup number
Mm-hmm.
4. Now she absolutely wants to lose the weight. What would you do with her?
First of all, asking the question, what are you getting from drinking coffee? What does
Mm-hmm.
drinking coffee is doing for you? So identify the pleasure that she has doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, although she knows the effect is not pleasurable. And is it because she needs a timeout? She needs to have like
I
a
think we're going to give her a timeout. Can we just do that?
timeout, yes.
Yes.
And I would say the timeout for her is to do a mindfulness meditation, which I call it the 3C, and which is called calm, centered, and connected.
Mm.
And you using, I guide you to be aware of where you are, sitting on your chair, feet on the ground, connecting to the earth, feeling rooted. And then on top of your head, you have this long silver cord or golden cord pulling you up, lifting to the sky, the world of infinite possibilities. And then you take those deep breaths, and you know how to do it, because I will tell you that each breath will tickle your nostril gently, and it will feel cool and wonderful as it enters your body. And it brings you this oxygen, food for your mind, for your clarity, for your peace, feeling good. And then you're exhaling what you don't want anymore, the old habits. So you have this connection and you connect to your belly and you put your hand on it, remembering that if you are understanding yoga system, the third chakra in yoga has to do with the power of I can. So whenever you're going to breathe and expand in your belly, like the rise and the fall with the diaphragm, you are creating this connection to the brain that says, I can, I do, and I will stay on this track of wellness, well-being, loving myself. So it's having an experience of feeling good, realizing, hey, I didn't have to drink that extra cup. I had my moment. Coming back, feeling the way I want, and better and healthier. So that will be the starting point of an experience of peace.
I love it. I love also how you finish. That's a saying that I like to send out to the universe. Like, I think sometimes, like you said, we focus on what we don't want.
Mm-hmm.
But, thinking about, here's where I am and here's the moment I'm in. And maybe because many of us don't like to change, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we resist it, even if we're wishing we could. I think saying, I want this or better, right?
Yeah,
And just
yeah.
raising the bar and being open to, don't limit yourself to only this good, because what you want around the corner, it actually may be better if you bring that opening in.
And I believe, Deborah, that what's also very important is to have the vision, very clear and detailed vision of the person you choose to become,
Mm,
right?
right.
And seeing it. And that's my process called the screening room. I take you into this room where you become sitting on that chair in that room facing a big screen. You become the star of the show, and the show is victory to you. And you project whatever comes to you, a scene of you being free, because being free, meaning your mind is in charge now. You are no longer the slave, right? You are the master of your mind. You have the power to say no and yes to yourself. To me, this is my carrot to keep going. I
Beautiful. Yeah, so
hope.
love that. Go ahead. I'm gonna ask you another coaching question.
Yes,
Do you want?
please
Okay.
go.
So, really trying to think for you, listeners. So, let's say a listener knows she needs a change in her exercise routine because it's not
Mm-hmm.
working, but she's almost addicted, to being a runner or the thought of being a runner. She used to be more addicted to the feeling of running, but now it's just
Mm-hmm.
really the idea of running and who she's thought about herself as for such a long time, identifying as a runner. But she's gaining weight, she's getting slower, she's getting more frequent injuries, and she wants to end that. Where would
Mm-hmm.
you begin with her? Anything different than our coffee drinker?
The Okay, that's a good question. Is we cannot remove anything that is linked to feeling pleasurable, right?
Mhm.
So now, what I may choose to focus in this particular instance is all the things that could possibly happen and that are not like the negative things at the beginning, more injuries, and that she's really getting that sense, the reality of the situation. And then once she's clear that it's not going to go away if she doesn't do anything, is slowly switching her to something that she will be convinced, and that's the tough one to install, that will do the trick for her, help her move her metabolism. And I'm sure, Deborah, you know what to do for that. Because I was like this person. I used to be a runner and I had knee injury, and I realized, okay, I'm not running anymore. But I'm doing other things that I found as exciting. I'm doing the rowing machine and I'm doing the bicycle. And I found it to be replacing it as well as the running without the pounding and the danger on the body. So it's removing the fear of the person that if they let go of one thing, they panic. And so installing a new version that will be acceptable for that person, and finding the way to install that as a belief system. And then willing to try, give it a try. And voila.
Nice. Yeah, love it. And then course correcting along the way. Okay, one more.
Mm-hmm.
These are very real scenarios, I would say, for many of the listeners who struggle and then who realize this is like maybe a hard stop for me. Like I want to change, but I'm not sure I'm willing to give up this change.
Okay.
So I've got a woman listening who might say, well, hell no, I'm not giving up my wine. And yet, she's got insulin resistance. She's struggling with belly fat and some weight gain. She wants two very opposite things, at least for the moment. So, all of you wine drinkers, I know you're out there, and I know it's a very social thing. It's very hard to be right now for you in a crowded room of friends who socialize like that and not be drinking right along with them. However, while you're in that change and you're struggling with these things, it metabolizes as sugar. And,
yes.
It's very hard to work around your two goals. Like, I don't want to change any bad habits, but I want results. What can you do for me? I'm at a loss. So I'm going to turn you over to Ed Veach.
I get this question so often, women in
Uh-huh.
Florida and the happy hour.
Happy.
And there is a happy hour every day of your life here. And I see those who indulge in happy hour, and it's not happy for aging victoriously, for sure. Well, do you love yourself more than the wine? What is the picture that you create in the mind? Do you want to lose that belly fat? Are you happy looking at yourself in the mirror? Or you don't care and you rather have your wine? I mean, this is a choice to make. And we're not saying never you'll have your wine, but make strategic planning around that. And to me, more than 3 times a week is definitely not something to recommend to people. And I would think just walk around with, for instance, a glass that is a wine glass, but putting like club soda. I love to do club soda and a splash of cranberry and lemon lime. So I feel like I'm sipping on something interesting. People don't know if there is vodka in it or not, and and I feel validated. And as I sip my sparkling drink, I think I love me. I love me. and I'm feeling good as it comes down. My stomach is happy, my body is happy, and I'm looking good. As I keep doing that, I feel my waist shrinking. I have more energy. I have more clarity. I'm a happier person. So the self-talk has to go with the action. That's
Love
what
it.
I'll say.
I love it. And that was a tough one. I gave you 3 tough ones and you knocked them out of the park. So thank you. Before we part here, is there one last thing? Based on my questions, now you know a little bit more about our audience, even. Is there any one thing that you wish I would have asked you that I didn't?
Actually, I love to insist maybe a little more on the self-talk, being aware of, are you your inner coach? Think about coaching question. Are you your inner coach or your inner critic? And how to end this, because the voice inside is going to determine the action that you take and the results you get. So go to the voice. My voice as I grew up was, I can't, because my grandmother raised me and saw me as this fragile child needing protection. And in my 20s, as I moved to America, the voice never disappeared. And I had to be going to neuro-linguistic programming to become aware of this voice. And then I had to replace the voice. But what do you say to yourself every day? Because what you hear, what you tell yourself is the most important thing you will ever hear. Are you telling yourself, I'm worthy of feeling good, looking good, and being happy? Because if you answer yes to the 3, the action will follow and will be irrelevant. They won't even look like sacrifices. They will be in the name of your victory. So it's really tricking the brain and stop using I can't, but I can. Stop using I should, and instead I choose, because the choose give you option and freedom inside. And you deserve to choose wonderful things because you are a unique individual worthy of a good life.
Beautifully said. Love that last message. So, listeners, we will close with that. I have all the links to the show in show notes, and you're going to find that at flipping50.com/midlife stress. So you can connect with Edwige and see where she is, follow her on social media, and go to her website as well. I'm also going to link to her book, Victim to Victorious, about dealing with midlife stress and making it your strength as opposed to your stress. So, Edwige, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Deborah, for having me. It was a pleasure. And I love the challenge you gave me. Victory.
And listeners, all right, it is now up to you. If there's a question or a comment about the show that you'd like to leave, I love hearing from you. And again, show notes will be at flipping50.com/midlife stress. And what are you waiting for? Let's start flipping 50 today.